Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks, TaughtToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about how to follow the golden rule and not get into this nonsense modern people are talking about, the silver rule or the platinum rule. In today's society, people are very ignorant of the scripture, but they're very ignorant of a majority of things, unfortunately, and a lot of it's purposeful ignorance. They want to be ignorant. They're willingly ignorant because they don't want to believe the words of Jesus. A basic elementary reading of what Jesus actually said makes perfect sense, but they blow it up into something completely different than what he's saying and then try to bring their own version of morality in as if to imply they have a better idea, and they don't. First, let me go into what the golden rule actually says. Matthew chapter 7 verse 12, Jesus says, "Therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets." In parallel, in Luke 6:31, "And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise." Now, the silver rule and the platinum rule people talk about, well, is that the golden rule has a problem because it's saying do what you would want done to you, you do to other people. Now, logical people who understand basic English and understand the obvious context as a whole of Jesus teaching doing good to all people grasp the fact that he's not saying if you like peanut butter sandwiches and someone else is allergic to peanut butter, you still give them a peanut butter sandwich because that's what you like. So you're doing unto them what you would like done unto you. That's not what he's talking about, obviously. How anyone could even interpret that is so insane. It's just unbelievable. And so they come up with this idea, well, do what they would want. That's what you should do to them. That's not coming up with anything new. That's the whole idea. The whole idea is that people have basic needs. And as you would want done to you, you do to them. There's basic, elementary needs that everyone has for love, for respect, for compassion, for generosity, for help in times of need. It doesn't mean you give them exactly what you want. It means what you would want done to you. The same way you would want to be treated, the same good way that you would want to be treated, that's the way you treat them. Obviously, you wouldn't want to be treated if you didn't like peanut butter or were allergic to peanut butter. You wouldn't want somebody giving you a peanut butter sandwich. So that would not be the golden rule. And the fact that these people are interpreting the golden rule in that way, which is the exact opposite of what it says, is insanity. But they are not well versed in the scripture. They don't care to be well versed in the scripture because they just have an agenda against Jesus. So in the peanut butter sandwich scenario, I wouldn't give somebody who wanted a sandwich, a peanut butter sandwich, if I knew they were allergic to it and didn't want it. Because that would not be doing unto them as I would want done unto me. Because if I was in their position, I wouldn't want that done to me. And that's the whole scenario. You put yourself in the other person's perspective. You try to see their position, the situation they're in, and help them from that. It's not about doing your will upon them, which is an insane way to approach and interpret the golden rule. It has nothing to do with that. That's why it's the golden rule. That's why it's worked for so many years. That's why J.C. Penney's was founded, and you read his story, 50 years with the golden rule. One of the whole points he makes is doing unto others the way you would want done unto you is what made him become a massive success and able to do great things in this life. And I'll put a link to that book in the description below. It's out of print. It's a very rare book, but it's a beautiful story about a man who became very, very wealthy and doing it by following the golden rule. And yet you get people today who've done nothing talking about, well, we really need a silver rule or a platinum rule, which is better than the golden rule, because what you're going to do is you're going to do what the other person wants. That's what you do. You look out for what they are really wanting, and then that's what you actually do. That's the golden rule. You're just rewording it and misinterpreting it in its original intent. Galatians chapter 6 verse 10 says this. It says that you are to do good unto all men, especially those of the household of faith, meaning you don't leave out Christians thinking, well, God's got them. You can just forget about them. Only help the world. Don't help Christians. No, you help all men. You do good unto all men. And if you read in Luke chapter 6, in the context of this golden rule, you read Matthew chapter 7 in the context of the golden rule. It talks about loving your enemies, doing good unto those that hate you, because you're not doing any good, just doing good to your people who you love, your family, your friends. The sinners do that. No, you need to step it up and do even better and love your enemies and do good unto them. That was the whole context. So way beyond a platinum or a silver rule, the golden rule is the pinnacle of dealing with other human beings, the pinnacle of love, the pinnacle of compassion. It is the end all of how you deal with other people. There's no perfecting it and getting one up on it with these nonsensical twistings, which the only way they can do that is by disingenuously changing the meaning of the golden rule and then coming up with their own solution that is basically the golden rule reworded. This idea that the golden rule is broken and needs fixing and needs this because it's going to cause people to only selfishly provide for people things they don't really want. This is basically the equivalent, this argument, which is a complete error, is the equivalent of a husband buying his wife a vacuum cleaner. He doesn't buy it for her own good, but he buys it because he wants her to vacuum more. That's not what the golden rule is about. And in that situation, maybe the wife wants a vacuum cleaner. I don't know. But that's the way it's presented. Like the golden rule is just you doing things to other people against their will. That obviously, just read it. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Now, does that sound like you're forcing things upon people? You wouldn't want things forced upon you. You would want somebody to give you something different than what you want. That's why this is all encompassing, and people who can't understand it are not people you need to listen to. They may mean well, but their entire premise is based on an error, based on logical fallacies, based on despising Jesus. And they can say whatever they want, but that's what it really boils down to. And they're terrified of following the golden rule, because then that implies a need to actually follow Jesus, and they don't want to do that. And that's one of their ways of getting out of it, is to say, well, this golden rule, that's not good enough. Look over here, my little religion, my little secular religion over here, we have a better rule, which is the exact same thing as the golden rule, except I've reworded it. Do what thou wilt is not the golden rule. These weird interpretations are not the golden rule. The golden rule is very plain. As you would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. So what that individual would want, that's what you would do to them. How they would want to be treated, the best that they would want, the best that they would desire, that's how you would behave toward them. It's very simple, my friend. And I want to leave you with one more scripture. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14 says this: follow peace with all men, and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. That first clause, follow peace with all men. If you do that, in conjunction with the golden rule, you will master love, peace, and compassion in this life. You can't do wrong when you're looking out for the other person's good. When you're following peace with all men, you'll do what's good and what's right for them. And what they desire, you'll absolutely meet those needs as you can. I want to leave you with one more thing. You know, sometimes people have problems in relationships with coworkers or neighbors or bosses or relatives or whatever it may be. And I want to ask you one thing. Are you doing unto them what you would want done unto you? Meaning, many people have drama and problems with other people because they're not seeing from their perspective. Now, they may themselves feel like, oh, this person's misunderstanding me. They're misinterpreting my intentions. And yet, are you misinterpreting their intentions? Are you not understanding them? Are you just trying to be seen as right rather than truly understand the situation and do good unto them? Are you following the golden rule in those relationships? Because so often when there's drama and when there's problems and when there's issues Even if you think you're doing everything perfectly, perhaps you're not really following the golden rule. Perhaps you're not following peace with all men. Perhaps you're just desperately clinging on to prideful desire to be right rather than to do right. My friend, I pray it's been a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.